is going to introduce our guest of honor, a great Marine, a great guy, and one heck of a talker. You think we're good? Go ahead, Danny.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for putting up with Denny for this full hour, okay?
Yeah.
You know, as an American veteran, when I came home from Vietnam, you know, all I wanted to do was fit in to society, okay? Just wanted to be part of society, to get out of that godforsaken place and come home and raise a family and just be a normal person. And I know a lot of veterans, a lot of Vietnam veterans felt the same way. Sometimes we got treated wrong, but we made that right as years went by. Who am I going to introduce to you is probably one of the most outstanding individuals I've ever met in my entire life. He's a Marine, served in Vietnam. He was a caisson during the siege of Khe Sanh. He was part of the Marine 1st Division, 9th Regiment. The group was called the Walking Dead. Okay? The reason for that was they lost a lot of gentlemen, a lot of veterans, a lot of good men during that period of time. You know, this country's great. You know what? You know, I was just thinking about it. Here I am going to introduce to you an Italian, okay, that an Irishman is going to. Ain't this country great? Think about that, you know? Think about that. We are all in this together. All of us. It don't matter what we are, who we are, what religion we are all in this melting pot together, okay? And with this, I am going to introduce you to, like I said, a fantastic guy and a great speaker. You're going to love this man, Mr. Allegretto. Where are you, Mr. Allegretto?
All right, make it short and sweet, guy. That's an order, Marine.
Well, at least we've got two Italians up here. Mr. Noda was here. If they threw a grenade at us, half the Italian population of Chemung County would be wiped out. Don't forget Dr. Cassetta. We're here at Force today. First thing I want to say, welcome home to all the Vietnam veterans that are here today. God bless you and God bless your families.
Amen.
Second thing I want to say, any man or woman that has served our country in any capacity, in any war or not in any war, I'd like to recognize them also. So if anybody's here that served in other wars, just please raise your hand. Man or woman, please raise your hand. Thank you, sir. Number 5. Thank you. Today is a day of celebration. We've had enough heartache with Vietnam veterans for the past 40+ years. Today we are going to celebrate this great day. Without a doubt, we're going to celebrate this great day. At this point, I'd like to acknowledge any woman who is a Gold Star mother, whose son or daughter lost their life in Vietnam or any war. Do we have any Gold Star mothers here? Please raise your hand. Thank you. I'd like to say a special thank you for all the Gold Star mothers across America and their great sacrifice that they gave for our country. And the men also that lost their sons or their daughters. As you can see behind me, this was dedicated in the year 2008. If you were here in 2006, there was a beautiful, beautiful casket that was set up. And many, many people brought many items here that were personal and emotional to them. It might have been a photo of a son. It might have been anything that related to their experience in Vietnam or when they were young kids or whatever. It meant something to them. Maybe a purple heart. Maybe a purple heart, something of that nature. And after it was all over, we assembled all this stuff. Denny Danny, and the Vietnam veterans in this area. We assembled all that stuff and put it in a vault. Now there is a vault below this beautiful, beautiful monument with all the memorabilia, all the great things that mean so much. It touches our heart across this Twin Tiers. And that's something that, I don't know if you knew about that, but that's something you should keep in your mind forever and pay especially great tribute to know that this was a community-wide effort to show their love for their loved ones. I think that's very, very important as we go through life. Excuse me. I always felt when I went into the Marine Corps, I was 18 years old, and I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. I came from a very poor family in the Patch, Ruddy's parking lot, so to speak, and I didn't have too many options in life. And I always knew I wanted to go to school. But I felt it was an opportunity of a lifetime to serve my country. And I was going to serve my country before I got a college education. And I wanted to go into the Marine Corps. All the branches of services are tremendous. We cannot make it in America without every single branch. I have 2 honorable discharges. One from the United States Marine Corps and one from the United States Navy. And if I could have 3 more, I'd be the most thrilled guy in Chemung County. Every veteran counts in this country. When you raise your right hand before God and you go in the military, that means you're taking an oath to serve your country and potentially die for your country. You see, in this country, with our freedom, people in this country would rather die on their backs than live on our knees. This country will never live on our knees. Amen. We will fight and fight and fight for our freedom. That's what we got as Americans. Never, ever get on our knees. Never. And the tremendous fighting spirit that's here. Most guys that came back from any war, they never talked about it. They very seldom talked about it. Because the horror of war is incredible. And you don't want to share that. My son's here. My son Anthony's here. He's 32 years old. I've only talked to him once about Vietnam because he kept begging me and begging me and begging me. My other son Danny lives in Brooklyn, New York. I've never said a word what happened in Vietnam. Not one word. Because I didn't want to share it with him. And I felt so sad about it. Okay. They asked me to talk about the wall, in the Vietnam Wall in Washington, D.C. Briefly, my experience there. I went there in 1975 with my former wife, my son Anthony, and a few of her relatives. And it was a beautiful, beautiful day in the middle of July, much like this, but a lot more humidity. A heck of a lot more humidity. And I vowed to myself I wasn't going to cry that day. We went there, it was so incredibly emotional, I couldn't believe it. Paid my respects to all my dear friends that I served with and died. And yes, a few died in my arms. And I pray for their souls every single day. So we walked back about a half a mile or 3/4 mile, the place we were staying at. It was right across from Watergate. And I was sitting down for dinner, and all of a sudden, it was like 1,000 bricks fell on top of me. I thought I was going to die. It was so much emotion. I took an elevator, went upstairs. I cried uncontrollably for 45 minutes. All the pain, all the anguish, all the hurt that was in me for that past 17 or 18 years, it all came out. I was a cleansing. It was the first time in 18 years I was relaxed. Could not believe I could be relaxed with PTSD. But it was a great experience. Been back there many times, not as emotional as the first time, but it's a different experience for everybody. One thing I remember from visiting that wall, there was a young girl, about 6 years old. She asked her mother, "Mommy, why are so many people crying when there are only names on this wall?" And the mother, very nice lady, said, "Honey, they're crying because those names on the wall are real people, and they fought for our country, and they died for our country. So when you see those names, remember, each name represents a human being." I did want to mention that. And there was one fellow there that had a door of the front door of his house. He had it against the wall because he was still waiting for his son to walk through that door when he came home. And that was on the wall, obviously. One morning I woke up as a United States Marine. I was 20 years old. I was at a place called Quezon. The situation was this. There were 6,000 of us United States Marines completely surrounded by at least 40,000 hardcore North Vietnamese for 77 days. Every day we got hit with rockets, artillery, mortar, hand-to-hand combat, and on occasion, fixed bayonets. Back in America, there was no CNN, there was no Fox TV. It was ABC, NBC, and CBS, and basically we were the lead story every single night. There was doom and gloom in this country. We were all supposed to die. We were all supposed to perish. President Lyndon Baines Johnson, he was so concerned, he was making contingency plans if we were wiped out at Quezon, that, excuse me, that he was going to use nuclear weaponry and go after North Vietnam. Back at Quezon, our attitude toward the enemy was, good, we've got them right where we want them. Now they can't get away. Nobody, and I mean nobody, on this earth is ever going to intimidate the United States Marine Corps, and nobody, and I mean nobody on this earth is ever going to intimidate the United States of America. It will not happen. We get the right leadership. Nobody's going to intimidate this country. We are the United States of America. Undefeated, and we will still be undefeated. And one thing I want to say, this might be out of the script in my notes, I don't care. If people say, well, you guys lost in Vietnam. Militarily, we won that war. Militarily, all these fine men here and women, we won that war militarily in Vietnam. Politically, that's a different story. We had no control over that, but we beat the hell out of the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong. And I tell you, we had them on a run 24/7.
Amen.
Don't ever forget that we won that war over there.
Amen.
Amen. The guys that fought there know what really happened. Excuse me. One of the great things about fighting at Quezon, it was America coming together as America. Yes, 6,000 Marines there. 20 guys in the Army did a fantastic job on those twin dusters. Every single day, 8 o'clock in the morning, Air Force jets were there. Marine Corps jets were there. Navy jets were there. And these guys came, you talk about courageous, these guys came down a couple hundred feet above ground. They were the most courageous people you ever seen in your life, in defense of us. Also, we had Navy, about 17 miles away, these big ships they had, that sent in artillery, some kind of rounds to defeat the enemy. At Quezon, this is the only time it happened in Vietnam, the only time it happened, is that there were B-52 strikes at nighttime. Right near my perimeter one night, there were 1,500 enemy there, and the Air Force dropped it right on a dime. There were 1,500 North Vietnamese going to hit our hill that night, and it's the only time they ever risked, a nighttime B-52 strike. I just saw a friend over here with a black hat, standing right there, and that man right there, when I went back to the rear, and a guy named Mike Tobin, who's now passed away, the three of us got hit. And we jumped in this crater. Nice to see you, by the way. We jumped in this crater, and the mortar rounds were being marched right up to about where he's sitting, and they stopped. And he said, God, if they went about 10 more feet, can you imagine reading the Almara Star Gazette tomorrow? Never forget that. It was really kind of, he broke the ice, too. It was really comical. And I want to say, I haven't seen this man in 20-something years. Good to see you, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that's okay. At Quezon, they took this note off a dead Marine. And the note said, for those of us who fought for it, freedom has a special flavor the protected will never know. For those of us who fought for it, freedom will have a special flavor the protected will never know. So you heard guys mention PTSD and so forth, and it's real and it's vicious. But because we fought in such a terrible war, and other wars before us, no war is good. Anybody who glorifies war is out of their mind too. I'll tell you that right now. Anybody who glorifies war, because the guys that fought in war, they know how bad it is. But anyway, they made a bumper sticker in Washington D.C. of this bumper, of this saying. So again, when you fight in a war, even though you have PTSD and stuff, we still enjoy every day because we know how precious life really is and how fleeting it can be. Okay, I'll move right along here. I'm just about closing up. In 1973, there was the Paris Peace Accords. And in 1975, I don't need these notes, in 1975, America officially pulled out of South Vietnam. Within 1 year, the North Vietnamese communists, these people, you've got to remember, these people were evil, evil, evil people that we were fighting against. They came down into South Vietnam totally unimpeded and murdered over 3 million innocent men, women, and children. You can protest all you want in America. That's the right that we have. But I want to say to every protester, first of all, it was the veteran that gave you the right to protest. And I tell you why. You want us out of that war so much, fine. You have your right to say anything you want to say. But what about the word humanitarian? What about the word humanitarian? Over 3 million people were butchered when we left. And we won also because there was no more spread of communism in Southeast Asia. Okay, next door in Cambodia was Pol Pot, the communist leader of Cambodia. In that same time frame after we left, there were 1.75 to 2.25 million Cambodians that were executed by these filthy animals, by these communists. Over 5 million people, over 5 million people were murdered. That's why we were there. That's why America was there, to stop this brutal killing. And that's something I feel very good about because we put our lives on the line every day of our life for our country. In closing, I'd like you to get a little vocal if you could and be with me on these 8 words. I'd like you to, I'll say the first word slow and then we'll say it all together. America. 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 God shed His grace on thee. His grace on thee. Thank you very much.
Hi, Allegretto. Thank you so much. I knew you'd come through for us. The Marines always do, and you're the best. Thank you, guys. God bless you. I think. Yeah, well, rock. All right, quickly before the train gets here. One of the things that I got to say thank you for